Welcome to the show. My name is Jeremy Poole, and I'm the host of The Moment, where we explore and celebrate the necessary transformational process you must go through to achieve a high level of success. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it for you once again. We're back for the Moment panel, where I bring together some of the best, some of the brightest to educate, motivate, and inspire you to reach higher and achieve greater. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into it with introductions starting on our left.
My name is Shane, and I'm with the Cadre Concept, and I help people kick butt.
Right on, Shane.
My name is Tracie Fischer. I'm a broker, and I'm with Marketplace Sotheby's International Realty.
I'm Feisal Ramjee, and I'm a real estate agent with Windermere Yarrow Bay and Merritt Homes.
I'm John Solheim. I'm a broker with Windermere Yarrow Bay.
I'm Sabrina Linman. I'm a loan officer, and I work for Evergreen Home Loans.
Well, thank you guys so much for showing up here today. You all look absolutely wonderful. Some of you I know personally, some of you I just met recently, but all of you have extraordinary stories, and I'm really excited to dive deeper. So let's get rocking and rolling. Shane, first question is, in addition to closing more than $41 million in loan volume as a mortgage lender in 2020, you and your lovely wife, Carly, also own a very successful farmers insurance agency, a real estate investment company, and a consulting and coaching company by the name of Cadre Concept, which you launched just about 2 years ago. Running this many companies and wearing this many hats might seem insane to some, but for you, it just works. Can you talk to me about the thought process behind owning this many companies and why launching Cadre Concept was the next evolutionary stage to your entrepreneurial journey?
I can. First and foremost, I think I probably am a little insane, crazy in the sense of I enjoy work. I like bring value to the marketplace. I enjoy being better and learning and growing. So it's not hard for me to take on multiple things because I'm hungry for the information and for the experiences. I'm not afraid of failure. I grew up poor, so I know what that feels like, and I'd rather be successful than poor.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in love with houses. Anything that's related to a house is my thing. And as I was kind of doing mortgages for a long time, and I love mortgages, and I will always do mortgages, it's my thing. But I realized I was burnt out, and I felt stuck, and I didn't like the way it was going. I was kind of a tyrant to my team, and I think one day I came to my office and I had a gal who was not a good fit, and I was afraid of firing her because she was really, really good at what she did, but she was kind of cancerous, and so I let it go on against my better judgment and other people's, and I ended up ultimately kind of losing my whole team at one time.
Wow.
And that was the first time that ever happened to me. And I took it really personal, and at first I was angry at them, and then I had to have a healing moment and realize that it was probably, I was a common denominator, I was the leader. People don't leave companies, they leave leaders. And so I started asking myself better questions. And those questions led me to better answers, which is, that's the secret of life, right? So I became very curious, and I stumbled upon this idea of a cadre. I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase, but I was in the military.
Yeah.
And I was stationed in the Middle East, and I was a heavy equipment mechanic. And I would have these guys come through, and their vehicles would be fully weaponized. They'd have all their weapons on them, and they'd have all the weapons inside the truck, so they couldn't leave them at any given time.
Okay.
So I would be working on their trucks while they would be standing there with their weapons protecting the truck from me. And they were all young, chisel-faced, just very ready to go do something that you and I don't understand.
Right.
And I got to be around them all the time, and I got to see these young men, and what they do is they would go to, each of them would join the military. They would go through like a really intensive basic training, and it would be from 6 to 9 months, depending on what service they were in. And then they would become these machines, these super talented people, but then they'd have to go learn a skill. They became a soldier, then they had to go learn how to do their particular part of the puzzle. So they would go to their vocational school, and they would spend another, sometimes a year or 2 years, depending on what their thing was, and then they would all have these individual skills, but then when they got together, they became a unit. So they would train, and they would be highly skilled people that are there to be a team, and there's a level of dependency when you're going to go get shot at that you need to be trustworthy of each other. And so there was a high standard, but there was also this intrinsic brotherhood, and then they had to have a shared mission or shared purpose. And so I fell in love with that, highly skilled people who want to be part of a collaboration, part of a team, and they're highly skilled. And once I realized that, I kind of just had this epiphany and realized that actually works in every part of life.
Wow.
So I started creating a formula and a process around it and started looking at the world a little different. And all my business started to grow, and it got easier, and I allowed other people to help me, and it worked out just fine without being a control freak. And all of a sudden I realized this is a thing. And I had a friend offer to pay me to coach him, and it was an awkward moment, but after a season we decided to do it, and now it's turned into this thing where I help high producers around the country become successful in the service of others.
Wow.
And it's kind of a unique way of looking at business. It takes you out of the center of the story and makes you a guide and makes them the hero. And when you do that, like, things kind of get easier. And so I don't consider myself a person who is doing too much. I'm doing the same thing in many different places.
Love that.
I just serve people and equip people, and I think really the only thing that slows me down is my ability to lead and recruit.
Yeah.
If I could just find the right people that are skilled, and then provide them an atmosphere to win, everything else follows. So I've done that, and I just bought an insurance agency, and then they offered another one to me that was bigger, and
Wow.
I thought, well, I would never say yes to this normally, but I actually feel like I know what I'm doing, in the sense of, I don't know anything about insurance, but I know a ton about leadership and sales and process, and I know money. So I just kept saying yes, and now I do more things than I thought I would, but I do it with structure and process, and I'm a slave to my discipline.
I love it. I love
Yes.
it. Shane, the thing that sort of stood out to me about you, and I've known Shane for a few years now, was you don't have shallow conversations.
No.
Every conversation I've had with this guy is I go into it, kind of want to say hi, how's it going, and touch base, and it turns into this really deep conversation that I didn't know I wanted to have. But I really enjoy each time that we interact and engage. So I can totally see you in that role.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about sort of what the thought process, or what the story, or better yet, what does the cadre concept do to say someone like myself, what can you help me with?
Well, it's a big question, because every producer has a different set of, their why is different, right? So the first thing we always start with everything is always why.
Sure.
So you got to find a person's philosophy. And what I always do is, I'm probably not a good coach for everybody,
Right.
but I think who I am a good coach for is people who actually like people.
Okay.
And if you believe in people equity, I can help you turn that into a lot of money for yourself and for others. And all of our whole entire thing is around impact. So if you aim to impact instead of to be successful, it kind of changes the way you approach things. So I think one of the things that I love, and I think is the most important, anybody who's like listening, and if this relates to you, I think the key to success is curiosity. You have
I
to be
agree.
curious. So that's why I ask lots of questions and I listen. That's a learned behavior, because I genuinely have learned to go, I can learn a lot from this person. I
Yeah.
better shut up, because they don't really care what I know, but I can learn a lot from them. And then when I listen, I get to get what I need, and then I can also, maybe help them reach their goal because I know what they need.
Yeah.
So I've got to meet some of you guys, and I found people are pretty awesome.
People are very interesting.
People are
and that's
awesome.
what this show's all about.
Yeah.
So Shane, thank you so
Yep.
much. And before I open it up, I have one more question for you. Is there a particular kind of person, background, pedigree, or maybe an industry that you are currently serving?
Yeah. So because I do a lot of things, so I think I'm really good at coaching anybody related to real estate. So I think I can help someone who's in the insurance space, the real estate space, the mortgage space, and I think I can help anybody who has an extreme cause. If you have an extreme cause, I think I can help you build a team around that. And I think I'm probably not for the starter so much. I'm probably for someone who has a little bit of reps. Remember, highly skilled is important, so they have to be highly skilled first.
Okay.
I'm probably not a good fit to teach people how to be skilled, but once they know their craft, mortgage like the back of your hand. So now my thought would be is how do we help you help more people? And then so people who know their craft already.
Love that.
So probably 5 or 6 years of experience. Probably.
Excellent. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions for Shane? No? Okay. Moving on. Tracie, next question is for you. You closed an impressive 33 transactions in 2020 for a total volume of just under $20 million. And if I'm not mistaken, a good portion of that deal flow was first-time home buyers. I bring that up because during our initial conversation, you mentioned trying to integrate educational-focused videos targeted towards the luxury market as part of your overall marketing strategy for 2021. That said, are you seeing a need to educate buyers and sellers of luxury real estate as an opportunity to stand out in the marketplace?
Yeah, I see a need to educate everyone, regardless of whether they occupy the luxury space or not.
Okay.
I think that, my goal is always to be the knowledge broker in anything that I do, and the way that I can be of service to my clients is to help guide and educate and advise and protect. And I always tell my clients I'm like the mama bird. I just tuck them under my wing and guide them through the process. And that's why I do this. That's really what brings me the most joy. And I really don't see I don't differentiate between a price point. I feel like it's that knowledge and that client experience at every price point. And so that's really what I aim to do. And I am delving more into the video space. That is a newer territory that I'm getting into and really enjoying. And it's a fun thing to do. But with that, my goal is to, there's so many things that I hear myself telling my clients repeatedly, almost to the point where it becomes a script. And I just think, gosh, this is something that I feel like I'm limiting myself and I'm limiting my clients if I'm only just keeping that here or in here.
Sure.
So by putting it in video and throwing it on my social media or YouTube or whatever it is, anyone wanting to know more about, the process can just hop on and watch a video and hopefully learn something from it.
That's fantastic. I love that. Another follow-up question I would have to that is, did you set out to serve first-time home buyers? Because I know a lot of agents sometimes do. Is that something that you were trying to focus on, or is that something that just sort of happened?
It is just something that sort of happened, and I think it's because I always aim to educate my clientele and walk them through this process. And these first-time home buyers have actually been my number one referral source because, it's a scary thing to purchase a home regardless of how many times you've done it. And it's not like you're buying a home every day. You buy a home maybe once every 5 to 7 years.
Sure.
And so it's something that you can learn at any price point. You can learn at any experience level. And unless you're in it day in, day out like we are, you can always, learn something. So my first-time home buyers have been one of my biggest referral sources. And I happen to be lucky enough to get in with a group of young tech millennial buyers, and they've just referred me to all their clients.
Wow.
But that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't taken the time to. I
Walk
have a
into the
very
process.
I have a very specific process, and if my clients aren't willing to go through that process, then I can't serve them the best way.
I love that you said that. Is that something that was taught to you, or is that something that you just developed as it helps the client, obviously, because that's where you're getting referrals, but is that also a part of your sales process? I'm just kind of interested in that.
It became a part of my sales process because the few times I let the toddler take the wheel, it just was a hot mess. And I, quickly learned that I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, I never profess to be, I am the expert in this field for my clients,
Sure.
but I never profess to know it all. I'm constantly striving to educate myself and learn. I'm in a professional coaching program, and I'm masterminding and learning from all the top agents across the nation, and I try to bring that to my local feel and my sphere. But I cannot let someone who doesn't understand the process tell me how it goes. I need to help them get out of their own way. And so, I will always do an initial intake, and I'm speaking with buyers and sellers both.
Sure.
But, I was very buyer heavy last year, which was great. And I would take them through an initial intake call, and then step number 2 after getting pre-approved, because that really is step number 1. Can we all agree? Can I get an amen? But I would basically just say, in a very systematic way, this is our first call, pre-approval is second, and then we do our kind of a consultation, if you will. It's part buyer seminar, part consultation, and I walk them through the process A to Z. And by doing that, I have found they know what to expect. I've reduced their anxiety, and at the end of it, they're just excited to get going, and they know what's going to come at them. They're prepared, and it just goes like that.
I love that. And so are you saying that this process and the value that you're delivering has kind of been the same, regardless of the price point?
100%, yeah. I have everyone from 350, 500,000, all the way up to 1.5 to 2.5 million, and my process is the exact same. It doesn't change. I'm consistent every time, and again, just because someone's in a luxury space or can afford a luxury home doesn't mean that they don't deserve that same information and education. And some might argue that the stakes are higher, in that price point.
That's so interesting, because one of my last transactions as a mortgage lender, I used to be a mortgage lender, was for a gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, just sold his company for $10 million to Dell. And he was buying his first home in Lake Oswego for $3.5 million. And this guy had a gazillion questions. It was just so interesting, because you kind of assume somebody who has $15 million in their bank account and buying a home for $3.5 million, putting down 1.4, you probably have your stuff together when it comes to buying real estate, and that's not always the case. So that's interesting when you brought that up. Do you guys have any questions for her?
A comment. I've
Yeah.
actually noticed the exact same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I know that you're primarily in luxury.
Yep.
Interesting. Now, along with that, is educating your buyers and sellers something that you've always been good at in terms of educating other people in general throughout your life? Or have you just been really passionate about real estate and you kind of discovered that you've been able to simplify some pretty complicated processes?
That's a great question. So I was in the corporate biotech world
there you
prior
go.
to real
There it
estate. And I was always in sales, client service, but my last role before getting into real estate, I was a product manager.
Okay.
And got to travel the world. I got to train very high level companies, Fortune 25, Fortune 50 companies on our products and how to use it. And so I've always had kind of that teacher mentality in that training role. And I've trained many people across many different experience levels. So I found that I really enjoyed it, and I just kind of came naturally to me. When I set off in real estate, I didn't set out to become this knowledge broker that I'm striving to be, and it wasn't like day one, be the teacher. I mean, and that is something that you gain in experience and confidence. But it just, again, I tuck these people under my wing, and in doing so, you're, by helping them understand what to expect and how it's going to impact them. And if they go this way, this is what's going to happen. And if they go this way, this is what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, it's their call. But if you inform and educate them every step of the way, they can make the best decision, for themselves, and they can feel right with it.
Excellent.
So.
And something out of our last conversation, I believe you mentioned that you're going to begin sort of creating a series or like categories of videos to where you're seeing a trend that people buy at this price point are asking these questions, and you can sort of have a video catalog or library, if you will, that you can say, hey, just watch these videos and come back to me.
Yeah, and I love the personal one-on-one touch. So my goal in that's never to replace myself, but I find that, especially if I take them through this consultation, it's 35, 40 minutes, and it's overwhelming. It's like drinking from a fire hose. You have a lot of information coming at you, and that's never my goal to overwhelm people, but I find that by supplementing it with these videos, so my videos range everywhere from the strategies to get your offer accepted in a competitive market, or, here are the high level things I'm going to do to help sell your home, and this is my process.
Yeah.
And some of those are, a little bit longer. Other times I do, a 3 to 5 minute video on what is a sewer scope and why is that important. And maybe that's not a fun topic, but you can make it fun.
Yeah.
So the goal is to kind of provide a wide range and scope of topics and make it fun and just have a great time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Being in the mortgage space, I work with a lot of realtors, and I see a lot of, you can tell the ones that have a process like that, they make everybody's life easier.
Yes.
So if you don't have a realtor that has a process, you owe it to yourself to have one, especially in today's market because it's so competitive.
Yes.
I mean, you really have to have someone who not only knows real estate but knows how to negotiate and make, ask great questions, and having a good realtor is worth more than people think.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Absolutely huge. Awesome. Feisal, you're up next.
All right.
You've been serving the East Side real estate market at a high level for the last 15 years, even receiving Rookie of the Year your very first year in the business, and since have established yourself as one of the top luxury agents in the Kirkland Bellevue market. With so much success under your belt as an agent, what's the thought process behind giving up your existing book of business to exclusively list for Merit Homes, which, mind you, is like the #1 builder in Kirkland?
Right. Well, great question. And it's a great question because it was the easiest decision as well as the hardest all at the same time.
Okay.
And I'll explain that. So first, let's start with the easy, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I love Kirkland. I love new construction. And as you said, Merritt Homes is the #1 builder in Kirkland. So could not pass up an opportunity like that.
Huge one.
Right. So I had to, obviously, had a little dilemma, had to figure out what to do. But I knew I owed it to myself to look at this new venture and take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I did. And so from the business aspect, Josh Lyson, the owner of Merritt Homes,
Okay.
he's amazing. I definitely look up to him as a leader and as a businessman, and he's just built a great company and a great team, and I get to work with these guys every day. So
Yeah.
I can sit here today and tell you that it was the best decision I made.
Wow.
Okay, and on the personal side of that, I get to have a better quality of life. An example of that is every day by 7:30, I get to actually be home
Yeah.
and have dinner with my family.
Yes.
And that's been priceless. And as brokers and agents, these guys can all attest, it is a grind out there.
Sure.
I have spent the bulk of my career on the road, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, just out there grinding. So this has been incredible for a work-life balance.
That's great.
The tough part of it was obviously the dilemma that I was in. So first of all, I'll tell you, I feel very, very blessed to be in this business, in the space of real estate. 15 years, I went on this journey, made some amazing connections and relationships, and I can truly say that I love my clients. So as you can imagine, I'm in a dilemma
Sure,
here, and I have
sure.
to figure out what to do. To me, the choice was clear. I knew I had to move forward with this opportunity to be with Merritt Homes, and again, anyway. So I just had to figure out the right move, and luckily enough, this man right here to my left, John Solheim, came into my life. Long story short, we became partners, and now we're able to serve this wonderful client base that I had while I can focus on new construction sales with Merritt Homes.
That's fantastic.
So not a day goes by that I don't feel blessed for how everything's turned out and worked out.
Sure. That's amazing. I love that. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to dive just a little bit deeper into the backstory of you becoming the listing agent for Merritt Homes. Because for a builder of that status, with that many possible listings, that's a huge account. And like what you're talking about, for many agents is like the dream job.
Right.
I would imagine there's probably quite a few other top agents who can do your job maybe just as well as you could. Why did you get this account?
Right. So,
Good question.
yeah.
They drew a straw. They drew a straw.
Right. So, a couple of ways to answer that. First of all, I'm a big believer in whatever's meant to be will be.
Okay.
And I think this was the path for me, and it was meant to be with Merritt Homes. And it's about the people and connection. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for the owner, and I believe that's a mutual respect, and that's how I was able to get a shot.
Okay.
And once I got a shot, of course, being in the business, and this is what I was born to do. I
Yeah.
love real estate. I
I
feel
can
so
tell.
blessed that I get to do on a daily basis what I feel I was born to do.
Yeah.
And you got to have the passion and the desire and the drive. And I think the owner of the company saw that within me. And, and let's talk about product for a second,
Okay.
okay? So, first of all, this product at Merritt Homes is spectacular. And I've always visioned myself as being more of a service person than a salesperson. But to sell, I believe you got to really believe in the product.
Yes.
So it is a fantastic product right in the heart of Kirkland, Northwest Contemporary, built for today's lifestyle and entertainment, and with the focus on luxury, quality, and comfort.
Okay.
So again, very easy to sell this product. So I think it's more about the people and the connection, and it just seemed like a right fit for the company and myself to join forces, and I think that's how I got this opportunity presented to me.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yep.
That's amazing. Just to dive a little bit deeper, did you know the owner prior to that whole piece coming down? Like, were you able to sell one of his properties before? How did you guys know each other to even know that this opportunity actually existed in the first place?
Right. So glad you asked. It's actually a really cool story. So I had a client referred to me, and I was able to help them. They purchased a home in West Seattle, and the transaction went awesome. And so they introduced me to the mom who had a property in Kirkland. Well, this was a land play, so to speak. You know, the house was over 30 years old and it was time to sell. And I wanted to find the highest and best use and the biggest bottom line for my client. So I noticed across the street were these gorgeous, beautiful Merritt homes in Kirkland Highlands. And so I reached out to Merritt Homes. And at this point, I'd never heard of them. And I didn't know the owner. And when I walked into the home, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I was blown away.
Very cool.
Loved the product. And even more coincidental, I happened to actually run into the owner, Josh, at that time when I went to go view this home.
That's amazing.
We talked for just a second because I was connecting with the agent, and the agent introduced me, and nothing to it.
Sure.
Well, in the following days, I reached out and I said, hey, I've got this property across the street and I think it would be a great fit for you. One thing led to another. They ended up purchasing the property. So through that transaction, I learned what a great company this is, and they did right by my client. They paid her top dollar. She was a school teacher. This was her retirement, and this was a lot of money. It was over $1 million just for the land.
Wow.
So that's how I met Josh at Merritt Homes. And after that transaction, everything went really well. I had the opportunity to connect with him again, and he gave me a shot to list one of his communities. It was 2 homes in North Rose Hill, and of course I did what I do and sold the homes, and everything went well, and we started working together. And long story short, a few months later, which is now November of 2019,
Okay.
I got offered this amazing opportunity to be his exclusive listing agent.
Wow.
So that's the story. That's how we met. That's
Congratulations,
yeah,
great
thank
story.
you.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. That's awesome. I have a lot of questions, but I figured I would open it up. Do you guys have any questions for him?
It's just a huge achievement.
So I guess
That is impressive.
that's impressive.
Congratulations that you connected with someone
Yeah.
just on a connection.
Right.
And he felt your good vibe and obviously felt connected to you and wanted to know more about you. I mean,
Right.
relationships, that's just wonderful
Yeah.
that happened for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you. Yeah, I
really,
feel
really cool.
Really blessed that we connected and I got the opportunity.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's amazing. On a personal level for me, I'm always intrigued when a big opportunity is presented in front of you. Was that a situation where you were just sort of automatically, of course, I got this, I know how to handle this, or was it like, I don't know if this is something I can take on?
Oh, immediately I was ready. I'm very spontaneous and I'm a big gut guy. Those who know me know that I'm very reactive, and when I know something's right and it feels good, it feels right, I just know.
That's incredible.
Now, my wife, on the other hand, this was right. This was a big buy-in because again, she understands what I've been through in my career,
Okay.
and I truly mean it when I say that I love my clients, and again, why I'm so grateful to have him to serve these wonderful people that have depended on me for so long, to be their advisor and to guide them in this real estate space. So it was a huge decision, and my wife was saying, you really got to think this through. You got to think very hard about it. And I was like, there's nothing to think about. I'm doing it. I'll figure the rest out. And I jumped into it. And you know what? Sooner than later, the world, God brought this fine gentleman into my life, and so now we can still help those people, and I can do new construction in Kirkland and have a great work-life balance.
That's a phenomenal story. Thank you so much for sharing. Before we
Of course.
continue the story and move on to John, we're going to take a short break. Thank you, and we'll be right back.